Hello, you're watching Sahara TV. I'm Chika Odor. We're broadcasting live in our studios here in New York City. And today I have a very interesting guest who is joining us as we continue our coverage in March for March Women's History Month. We have in our studio today Miss Esosa Edosomwan. Did I pronounce that correctly?
Esosa Edosomwan.
Edosomwan. And she is an actress, she's a writer, she's a director. She was also featured as one of the 30 most intriguing Africans in New York City. And I just want her to talk about her latest film project called One Night in Brooklyn.
Well, One Night in Brooklyn is a coming-of-age comedy, and it's about a group of Brooklyn bohemians who throw a trans-African Independence Day party. And the idea came from me. I was in Brooklyn hanging out with some friends, and we were having a little party, and we were all just graduated from college. And I was like, when was the last time someone made a really good house party movie? And then I was like, why don't I see people like me on screen? People
when you say like me?
Mm-hmm. When I say like me, I mean like I'm Nigerian. I was born here in America. My family hails from Nigeria, and I know I have so many friends from different African countries, Ghanaian, Ethiopian, and I was like, why aren't there films that show that specificity and that culture? Because we have, specific flavor, and even though we're American, or we become Americanized, we are still connected to our African roots, and I wanted a story that showed like young people that were like that.
So this play or this film actually tells the story of Africans in the diaspora.
Yes.
Contemporary Africans.
Yes,
okay.
yes. The lead male is a Nigerian MC. We have a girl who's Afro-Latina. She's half Venezuelan and half Trinidadian. Mm-hmm. A Trinidadian guy, a guy from the Dominican Republic. So I tried to mix it up, and then in the party we have people repping Haiti, Ghana, Kenya. So there'll be a lot.
It's a rainbow.
Yeah, it'll be a rainbow for sure.
Do you call yourself Nigerian American?
Yeah, I guess. People always assume that I'm from somewhere based on just my look. Mm-hmm. So if they ask where you're from, I'll say, I'm Nigerian. Mm-hmm. I was born here. Mm-hmm. So yeah, Nigerian American, I guess, is the best way to describe it.
Okay. So as a Nigerian American, why do you think that your story is one that needs to be told?
It needs to be told for a lot of reasons. I feel like right now, or just in general, there's this, we were talking about the concept of Pan-Africanism and just different. I feel like a lot of young people I want to inspire a lot of young people to connect to their roots that don't know what their roots are. Because I feel like that's super important, because if you don't know where you've come from, how can you know where you're going? And I just feel like there's so much power in understanding and expressing the roots that, your culture. And I feel like even though, we all come from these different places in Africa, there's so much connection there. Mm-hmm. And so showing that connection. And then also it's just really, it's a coming of age comedy. Mm-hmm. And it's I loved those films like House Party. I loved A Different World, and there are films with white casts like Reality Bites and Staying Almost Fire that I loved, and they were about young, people who just graduated from college and were trying to become adults. Mm-hmm. The whole film is about independence for me.
Yeah.
And they're all how do I become an adult? How do I be a responsible human being? Mm-hmm. And they all have their issues, but through the course of this one night, they're forced to face them and they're forced to grow up.
Right. So you studied theater. I believe you went to Columbia University?
I studied theater at various acting schools. I studied in London. I studied all over the place, public theater. Mm-hmm. And then film, I studied at Columbia. I studied film and I studied business there as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what is it like now to be a Nigerian American in the independent film industry in the United States? What are some of the challenges?
It's funny because, I have played some Nigerian characters, but I also play a lot of other ethnicities because I always get mistaken for a bunch of things. Oh my gosh. I was at an event in D.C. recently, and South Africans tried to claim me, Trinidadians tried to claim me, Haitians tried to claim me. They were all there at the same event, and every single time I would go say hi to somebody, they thought I was from their country. Eritrea, Ethiopia, Somalia.
That's kind of an advantage, right?
It's a great advantage. I love it. And I love being able to, not be in just one box and be sort of like the African diasporan woman who can display a whole bunch of people. Yeah, it's great.
So you're obviously an attractive young lady. Do you think sometimes it's hard to be taken seriously because, number one, you have the looks, number two, you come from, your name is an exotic name.
Yeah.
So what do you think? Do you get profiled sometimes?
Yeah, totally. I think as a woman, especially as a filmmaker, it's very hard to be taken seriously. I think that there's no one that I can think of that's doing what I want to do in terms of producing or acting, writing, and directing. There's tons of men that do this. Mm-hmm. And whenever I say I'm making a film, it's just very interesting to see people's reactions because people, I think, are very comfortable with a very attractive woman being in front of the camera.
Right.
But when you try to assert the fact that you're a capable, creative being and that you can actually create a film, direct it, and and that's typically people think of that as a men's role, and film sets are generally like little boys' clubs. I mean, there's men all over the set. My film, my DP is going to be a woman, and I've known her for years, and she's very talented. She won one of her shorts won Best Shorts at the BETJ on TV, and she went to AFI Conservatory. So I'm excited about working with a woman collaboratively to make the film, but it can be very hard to get people to understand and take you seriously just as a creative individual. They assume, I think, a lot of times with directing films that women can't. And if you look at the stats, there's like maybe 7% of women in the Directors Guild of America. That means that are like unionized directors. Right. And that really needs to change. It's a very sad case. And when you look at the body of work from a lot of women filmmakers, sometimes it stops at one or two films.
That's interesting.
Whereas men, they can just go on and on and on. They keep getting the budgets, and they keep getting opportunities.
Right.
You miss one opportunity as a woman, sometimes you don't get another one.
Very slim pickings.
Yeah.
So March is Women's History Month, and Esosa, who are some of the women historically and also in contemporary society who inspire you to do what you do?
Oh my gosh, there's so many. Oprah, she's just incredible. I think she's incredible. As far as film people, Uzan Palsy, she was the first black woman to direct a studio film. Incredible filmmaker. She has a film called Sugarcane Alley. It's one of my favorite films ever. I love that filmmaker Casey Lemons. I love Mira Nair, Indian filmmaker.
She's my favorite, actually. She's awesome. Amazing.
I mean, every story she tells
every single story.
Yeah, love her. And then, let me think.
What about in other industries, just in pop culture?
Let me think. Well, actually, I'm really inspired by, because I'm really into just female rights in general and people who fight for peace. And I just love this woman, Eve Ensler. She started the organization V-Day. Okay. I've been a part of it for every year for the past 5 years. And their mission is to end violence against women. Right. That is something that I'm really passionate about, and so I love people who do that. So that, including to that, I would add Ellen Johnson Sirleaf. The first female president? I mean, that's just amazing. Like, that's what inspires me. Like, women who are trailblazers. It's like there's all of these things in front of you that say that you can't because of your gender or whatever, but you just go ahead and you make a way. And I think it's pretty amazing that what she did and how she was fighting for the women there and how she ended up becoming president.
Have you ever faced just outright discrimination based on your gender or your ethnic background or your race or your name?
Yeah, definitely.
Talk about that.
In surprising ways, unfortunately. I remember once I was going to get an apartment in Brooklyn, and this was a black man, an African-American man. He, this was a while ago. I had just graduated from school. I was looking for an apartment. I thought I was going to get this apartment. Yeah. My father wanted to speak to him on the phone. He spoke to my father on my phone. He was like, your dad is Nigerian, isn't he? He was like, you guys are funny people. I can't rent you this apartment. He really did say that. And I was, it was one of those weird moments where, because I had never experienced that, like based on being Nigerian or whatever. And my parents experienced a lot of that, so they're very, very like particular. And I never understood why.
Yeah.
Like I'm proud of being Nigerian. I know there's a lot of things, but
how did he know your dad was Nigerian?
He guessed from the name, and then after he spoke to him, because my dad has a little bit of an accent, he guessed.
He must be a smart man himself to know that. I mean,
yeah, but I mean, it sounded like to me that he had kind of created in his mind. He already had set, you know, that Nigerians are tricky people. He had some sort of, you know, experience or something that had nothing to do with me in my apartment.
Did you get the apartment?
No, I ended up not getting it. He actually was like, I'm not renting it to you.
Because your father is Nigerian.
Yeah.
Interesting.
It was crazy. I've had, other than that, it's just more like, sometimes it can be subtle things. I usually don't pay attention to those things. I was very much raised, like my parents are always like, you can be whatever you want to be. And funny thing is that even when they weren't so into the arts, it's like, well, you already told me I could be whatever I want to do. So I've always been very like, I can do whatever. And even though people might look at my name and be like, oh, that's a funny name, I'm not changing my name, you know? And I know like a lot of my cousins and a lot of people I know, they change their first names to more American names. That's not my thing. I was born with this name. I'm proud of it. And I'm proud to be who I am. And I feel like you just have to be comfortable enough in your own skin to let that roll off. Because at the end of the day, what makes me prolific is the fact that I'm African.
Wow.
And I believe that.
So being African, do you plan on going back to the continent and working? Or?
I would love to. I would love to. I've been meeting people from all over, and I would love to, you know, if they want me to play whatever ethnicities, I would love to go to the continent. I would love to work in Nigeria too. I think that it's very interesting what's going on in the industry, and I'm excited to see how it keeps progressing and the quality increases. And
you mean
theaters,
Nollywood? Yeah. Okay.
And the theaters are growing and all that stuff. I think that's really great.
Do you watch the movies, the Nigerian movies, Genevieve Naji?
I've seen some of them. I was in like one or two. There's one, I just saw the producer yesterday. There's one called Unguarded that's supposed to come out in New York and has Ramsey
Noah,
Desmond Elliott.
Okay.
And Uche in it, and I'm in it in a supporting role.
Okay. Did you have to do a Nigerian accent?
No, I didn't.
Oh, okay.
No, I didn't.
Okay. Yeah. So one thing, obviously, if you go back to Nigeria or Africa, you seem to be a very liberated woman, very independent, you da-da-da-da.
Right.
Some people don't like that. You know?
Yeah, no, they don't.
So how do you intend to face those stereotypes that you need to be in a certain role as an African woman?
Wow, that's really interesting. I mean, I'm just not going to give in, pretty much. I mean, I am who I am. I know that there are, you know, that's something that needs to change, though. I mean, if people really think about just how society works, if women are not free, who is going to be free? Just on the fundamental level, beyond race, beyond everything. You know what I mean? And then to double that, an African woman or a black woman, if we're not free, who's free?
That's a good question.
No one.
Yeah.
So it's like it's come time where people need to stop limiting what I can do or what you think I can do or where I should be just based on my gender. I think it's very ridiculous.
But how does that happen? Do women need to do something or do men need to do something?
I think I think it's both. I mean, I don't believe in this, like, you know, this idea of feminism, like you burn in your bra and you're anti-men. That's crazy. I believe feminism for me means like I am very comfortable in my femininity. Femininity has power in itself. Just being a woman has power. We are creative beings. Yeah. We can draw things to us. We create things without as much effort as men need. Yeah. That's power. And that power, because it's so powerful, people have tried to squander that using violence, using rape, using all kinds of means, societal things, laws. And it's really up to us to be comfortable in that, to assert ourselves, to protect ourselves. But it's also up to men to respect that. I respect you as a man, you respect me as a woman. It has to go both ways. If it doesn't, there's never going to be a change. Because at the end of the day, if I'm empowered and liberated and fabulous and someone decides they want to rape me that day, that's a problem. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
that's a problem. So there has to be a change of thought on both genders, and it needs to not be a competition. We are two separate, you know what I mean? It shouldn't be like, in order for me to get ahead, I have to be like a man. I'm a woman.
Yeah.
I need to be a woman and just do my thing, you know? So, yeah.
So it sounds like you're talking more about womanism than feminism.
Yeah,
people
that
kind
sounds
of
better.
confuse the two.
That sounds better.
It's interesting because in Africa, the women, they're taught this principle of womanism, of embracing your womanhood. And here in America, the feminism kind of confused the lines in terms of what people do. And as you said, females were acting like men.
Right, yeah. And I don't think it means that we shouldn't be going into those positions of power and all that stuff. I just think that it becomes this weird power struggle.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, what do you think about a lot of African heads of states, their wives, the first ladies? They're usually fashionistas, wearing the tallest scarves, the tallest wigs, the tallest shoes, and they're not really speaking. There's actually this one picture that made waves where they showed women, first ladies in Africa, at a meeting, very important meeting. They're all sleeping.
Are you serious?
And when you look at Michelle Obama, she's running, she's doing fitness.
Active.
What is the difference? Why is it okay for these African first ladies to be lazy and just pompous and just luxurious? What do you think is the reason behind all that? I
don't know, but I think it might be, maybe it's just complacency. Maybe it's just like, oh, my voice isn't going to be heard. This isn't my job. I know my place.
Yeah.
Because there is that sense of knowing your place a lot. And it is important, you know, being the husband or being the wife to a husband that is in such a great position. You are supporting that person, but I mean, it's important to be active. It's important to be listening. It's important to be a part of that dialogue. Maybe throw something in, like, hey, you know, like, hey, like
that
this would be,
happens,
you know, and I don't. That's kind of sad to me.
There's this idea that an African man, by marrying you, he's doing you a favor.
Wow.
Have you ever experienced that at all, or even here, dating here in the United States?
I haven't experienced that, but I have had some funny experiences with random people I don't know proposing me and asking me if they want to take me. I'm like, listen, brother, like I am content in myself, you know. No, I haven't had any experiences like that, but I'm also like, culturally speaking, I'm more American, and like you said, in that sense, in terms of being a woman who wants to be great in her own right and have a companion that is great in his own right, and not have it be a thing where it's a strain, like I'm expected to do only these things and I can't do other things as well. But I think it's important to be active. I mean, the only way that we can, as women, make any changes is to be active. We have to listen. We have to speak up when things aren't right, because we have to be the first to speak for ourselves. Right. You know, and hopefully other people will hear and want to get in on it too. Getting in on it is key, which brings me to the film itself. I know you're fundraising at this point. So when will it be released, or how does that goal? So right now we are raising funds online on Indiegogo. The site is indiegogo.com/One Night in Brooklyn, and we are hoping to go into production July, August of this year in Brooklyn, and the goal would be to release it the following spring. So spring of 2013.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is there anything else that you want to share with us? How can our viewers reach you? How can they follow you? Twitter, Facebook, website?
Yeah, we have everything. So please support the film. Check us out. We have a fundraising trailer. You can go there. It's www.indiegogo.com/One Night in Brooklyn. We have a Facebook page for One Night in Brooklyn, so you can just look us up, One Night in Brooklyn, the film. I'm on Twitter. The film's on Twitter. I'm on Twitter at Esosa E, and the film is ONIB Film on Twitter as well. I really, really appreciate your support.
Thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it.
No problem. All right, viewers, that was the Nigerian American actress slash writer slash director. She's doing it all. She's wearing several hats in the world of independent film. She's also done some theatrical productions as well. And her name is Esosa Edosomwan. So please remember her name. You might hear her someday and you can say, hey, I saw her on SaharaTV. So that was Esosa, and she is part of our continuing coverage on Women's History Month. Up next, we have another important figure to bring to you today. Her name is May Azango. She's a Liberian journalist, and she will share her story with you up next after this short break. So stay tuned onto SaharaTV.